Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here, and today I'd like to ask the question, silver has intrinsic value, does Bitcoin? And the reason I ask this is to highlight what I perceive as one of the primary differences between Bitcoin and silver as a store of value. Something I hear bandied about a lot is that Bitcoin is somehow a store of value, and while it clearly is because you can buy Bitcoin and you can sell it later and get your money back, and in the case of markets as of late, you can get quite a bit more money back than you invested in the first place. So in that sense, it is a store of value. But I'm thinking more of the long term. Bitcoin, I don't know that it has the intrinsic value that is required to be a long term reliable store of value. And the reason I say that is because the main property of Bitcoin, at least as far as I see it, that lends value to it is its ability to facilitate transactions quickly, perhaps somewhat anonymously, although not perfectly anonymously, and there are cryptocurrencies that do a better job of that. But that really is what Bitcoin's all about. Bitcoin is a currency. It is meant to act as money between different parties who are making exchanges, and it's supposed to facilitate that business easily. And that's the main property of Bitcoin. The network, the blockchain network that makes up Bitcoin, it allows that to occur relatively seamlessly, although sometimes, of course, Bitcoin does get a bit bogged down, the fees can get a bit high, but that is what makes Bitcoin valuable. And it does have that intrinsic property that it has this network of miners and computers that settle these transactions and keep track of the blockchain. But I don't know that it meets the criteria of having intrinsic value in the sense that it has actual utility beyond that, and that utility is not easily created elsewhere. Basically, what I'm saying is that you can create another cryptocurrency which does all of the same stuff as Bitcoin, which we see with all the altcoins which have come about as of late. Whereas something like silver that has intrinsic properties as a physical material, such as silver's electrical conductivity, its conductivity of heat, its antimicrobial properties, its low toxicity to humans. All of these things make silver intrinsically valuable in the sense that aside from its properties that make it ideal as a money or a currency, it has usefulness in a broad range of applications. And it's not easily replicated. There's not a lot of things that you can use to substitute for silver in these applications that would act the same way and work as well as silver does. Whereas with Bitcoin, it's great for making these transactions, but you can create another cryptocurrency, another blockchain that will do the same thing. So the intrinsic value of Bitcoin is not something that really is unique to Bitcoin. I think psychologically, because it was the first cryptocurrency to be created, at the moment it has a lot of advantages because in people's mind, Bitcoin is pretty much synonymous with cryptocurrency. And in markets, prices are often driven by psychology and not real fundamental underlying value of goods and products and currencies. So, I could be wrong about this, of course. And if you're a cryptocurrency bug and you are an expert in that, which I am not, and you feel like Bitcoin does have some intrinsic values that I'm overlooking, please let me know in the comments. I mean, I'd love to be educated on that. I don't want to sound like a fool when I'm talking about this, but it just seems like Bitcoin doesn't really have the intrinsic value that silver does. And one thing I hear sometimes said is that Bitcoin has intrinsic value because it requires energy to create it. And I don't think that that's entirely accurate, because just because something takes energy to produce doesn't necessarily make it any more useful. For example, I could go in my backyard and I could dig a hole and I could fill it in, and it would take me a lot of energy to do that, but that filled in hole doesn't necessarily have any more value than when I started. So just pouring energy into something doesn't necessarily add value to it. It does help contribute to the scarcity of Bitcoin. I get that. So on a supply and demand basis, that would increase the value of Bitcoin, and that scarcity, as long as Bitcoin is desirable, the scarcity will make the price increase. But I just don't see that just by virtue of requiring energy to be created that it makes Bitcoin a reliable store of value with intrinsic value. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there and see what everybody thinks about that, because I do hear quite a bit in the cryptocurrency community that Bitcoin has this intrinsic value and it's a store of value. And I just don't agree with that, really. Silver, I think, clearly is because of its utility, its usefulness to mankind in a variety of applications. But I don't think Bitcoin really stands up to that same test. Let me know what you think about this, whether you think Bitcoin has intrinsic value or you think it doesn't, or maybe somewhere in between, because it certainly is useful for the applications that, it was designed for. So maybe there's something to that as well. But anyway, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, or, thumbs down if you completely disagree with me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll catch you next time.